Hello scientists, welcome to Drupal Math. Today we'll be drawing the plant root. It will be a longitudinal cross-section. And so I got this question from the comment that how to draw this cross-section. And then when I see it, I understand why you might need help with this because yeah, it looks very complicated. But I will guide you through this process. So without further ado, let's start to draw our plant root. This will be the kind of plant root that we'll be drawing, and I will show you how to draw these layers. So first, let's create the a rounded corner rectangle, and I will round the corners with the direct selection tool. I'll change the color to the green that we see here in the example. And then we'll start building the ground meristem. And so now the color is a little bit too saturated, so I will go to the color guide to make it lighter like that. Okay, and also the outline, I will switch it to gray over here. All right, and now I will start to duplicate this rounded rectangle. A bit more. And then I will adjust their size altogether. And some of them needs to be shorter, like that. Okay, this one can be slightly shorter here, and a little bit more, and more. Okay, I will make them slightly smaller. Right, and the distortion need to be a little bit more dramatic here. Okay, great. And now we have one layer of the ground meristem, and we can start to add in another layer. This one, I will shift our rectangles a little bit, and then like that. Okay. Then let's give it another layer. And I'll squeeze it down a little bit for this layer. Also, I'll start to group them together. So each layers are a group of its own. Okay, so, and one last layer that will be very, very flat. Okay, and here, let's squeeze all of these down. Duplicate them here. More. It's okay if their shapes are a little bit uneven, because in the end we will need to make them uneven anyways, so it's fine that if they don't look perfectly aligned here. Okay, and this layer too, let's squeeze it down. Okay, great. And now we will need to group this and then make a copy of this. Then I will use the reflect tool to reflect it vertically. So now you have both sides of your ground meristem. Okay, so now we will start to create the ProCam, and we can very quickly create that by copying this part of our ground meristem, and then just move it over here and then change its color to blue, a lighter one. Okay, that's good. Now we have 3 of them, and we will make a copy of it, reflect them vertically as well. So once you send them to the back, then they will look like the ProCam. We need this part that is missing. And let's delete this row, this column, and then we can put them together. This one to the back, this one to the back. Okay, great. And now we can start to create the zone of cell division. In the root, copy a part of this part of our cells and group them, and I will make 4 copies of this, and I will align this one a little bit here, and I will squeeze this down a little bit more so this is more tight knit together. And this part, so starting from here, to start to cram these cells together. Okay, I'll move it over here for a little bit. And this one slightly bigger. Okay, great. And here as well, squeeze them down. And fill in 2. Okay, 1. Okay, yeah, just fill in the entire space of this part of the group, and then we can select all of them, group them, and let's go to Object, Envelope, Distort, and Make with Mesh. And here we will only have 1 row and 1 column. So now this group of cells are being enclosed with an envelope distortion. So when you use a direct selection tool to pull on the mesh, then it will distort these entire block of cells for you. So we can use this to create the tip of the root that can allow these cells to be aligned according to the curvature of the growth of the zone of cell division. Okay, and we will need to move them over here a little bit more. Right, that's great. And then I'll make a copy of this and reflect it so we get the other side. Alright, so now we can do some adjustment to make it rounder. Okay, and now let's create the crescent center. And this is very easy to create. So let's go back in to grab some of the cells from here. And then I'll make them horizontal. Let's see how many layers we need. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if it's 4 layers. Yes, we need 4 layers. So let's make 4 layers. But first, let's make a new copy of these. Group them, switch them the fill to white, and then make 4 copies of the cells and group them all, make them smaller, and then I'll also apply an envelope distort with mesh, and also 1 row and 1 column. And now you can bend it into the shape as you wish. Okay, great. And I will make a copy of this and turn it around. That will be our quiescent center, and I will place it right at the tip of the root. Okay, so now you can put this in, put this in, and just do some adjustments to make the entire transition more natural. Here, this way. So now let's quickly put in some daughter cells on the tip of the root as the root cap. Okay, so let's create some daughter cells at the tip of our root. And so I will again grab some of our cells from here, and then I will rotate them to horizontal direction and then apply the mesh on them. So let's go to envelope distort, make with mesh, and click OK. So now you can start to bend it along with the surface of our root tip. Okay, and so I didn't change the color of the cells. This become a very good opportunity for me to show you how to edit the content in the mesh. So let's go back to our object, envelope distort, and here you will see an option called the edit contents. So once you click it, and then you will enter the mode of editing the content of the mesh. So now you will be able to change its color to the red that you see in the example. So don't worry if you forgot to change anything on your content, because you can always come back to it. And if you want to keep on editing the mesh, then just go back to envelope distort and then click on edit envelope. Then you'll return to the edit envelope mode. Okay, so we will need 2 more layers of these daughter cells. So this will be a smaller layer like that. And the last one will go back into the edit content, and then just delete some of. Okay, so the inner layer should be a little bit smaller, so I will just switch these two. Okay, and we need some more that's dripping down, so let's grab a few cells. Change its color, turn to the side. And put them into a mesh. Just start to put it on here, Okay, and so just like any path, you can actually add new anchor points onto your mesh. So then you can create an even more dynamic looking mesh. Okay, so now we have created this part of our daughter cells, and we can move on to filling in the last part of our ProCam. So what I will do here is that use this to fill in this space, but I only need the inner part, and you see that I cannot take it out now. So I will show you how to remove the envelope. So go to envelope distort and release the envelope. Then you can have the content. And then we will need these two columns, and I will duplicate a few more of it. Good, and see if it can fit in. Yes, it fits in well. So now I will group it and apply a envelope distortion onto it. Then I can move it over here, and just to adjust these parts to make it fit into the space. Let's see, if you put this to the back, then it now fits into the space. But you can see that it is actually the color within here is a gradient, so we need to make the color into a gradient. So in order to do that, let's first make a copy of this, and we need to expand the shape. So let's go to envelope distort and then click on expand. And once you have done that, all these will become their own new object. So it is no longer within a mesh. And so now you're able to remove the fill of this part, and we will make this mesh into the color. So I will just do it again to expand it, and then I will use the Pathfinder tool to unite all of these shape, and I will remove the outline. So you see that it does have some space within it. We don't really want those things, so I will quickly make a shape to fill in all that space, unite it. Okay, and now I can apply a gradient into our shape. So let's go to our gradient tool, double click on it, and choose linear gradient, and we need a 90-degree gradient. And here we'll switch our color, and let's use the color picker here, and pick this green, and then over here the color picker, pick the blue. And now let's move it over here and put it to the back of the shape. Then we will have that gradient into the tip of our root. Okay, and let's zoom in, and we need to do some adjustment in here, because you see that some of these cells you can see the outlines through, because now they're transparent. So you can adjust them manually to keep them away from each other's. Okay, and Here, the transition is a little bit awkward because some of these cells are still quite big when they are getting to the bottom part. So that's just quickly adjust that manually. The epithelium is a yellow layer of the most outer part of our root. So that's add on that last layer. So by doing that, I will make a copy of this most outer layer and then switch it to the yellow, a bit lighter, and here also. Okay, yeah, it should be a little bit more saturated. So yeah. All right, and now we need this part, so we can just copy this. And then I will just expand it. So now you can only take this row of the root, and we need to make it slightly thinner. That great. Fit it to the part and switch to yellow. And then here. And as you see, it gets thinner as it goes down, so we can also do that, just manually adjust it. Just a little bit in this part, let's just do it manually to fit in better. Let's make this a gradient transition, so we will do the same thing like we did a little bit earlier. We only need this part, and let's unite this to get the color, and we will get a gradient that's 90 degrees. Okay, they are not all unite together, so I will do that here and unite again. Okay, and we go to the gradient, and now let's switch this color to the yellow and remove this part, move it over here, send it to the back, and let's just make these few transparent. Let's adjust the arrangement a little bit. Okay, great. Now we got this part covered. Now let's do it on the other side. And I can just copy the color part and place in there. And I'll flip it horizontally because they are the same thing, so they will fit in just right. Okay, and let's move these two to the front, and now I need to adjust the tip a little bit because this should be the tip. And okay, great. Okay, so now the root hair. You can very quickly create them by first making a path and then give the stroke same color of our root epithelium, and let's make them thicker. And then we need to make their cap round cap. Let me make a copy of this before I expand it. Okay, so now it's better time to expand. Expand, stroke, grade, and outline. Let's add a few more of them. And you can okay, and then we get to and unite these two. So now you will have the root here. I will make this one smaller and I'll quickly adjust the daughter cells. So now we need to create that coronal cross-section. I know this is a very long tutorial, please bear with me. And so let's make that. And we will need to first also grab some of our cells. From here, I will grab these ones. Yeah, and then turn to the horizontal side. First group them and then place them over here. Okay. And then let's use an ellipse tool to make a reference of how the cross-section should look like. So we need a half circle, so let's cut it in half. I will use the Pathfinder tool, and then here you'll see an intersect function, and then you can get the half circle. So I make it flatter, then you'll see that it can start to look like it's coronal cross-section. Okay, good. And now we have this as our reference. Then we can start to make this into an envelope, and then you can bend it to the size of the cross-section. Okay, once this is ready, we can make a copy of it, and I will switch the color of this one to yellow. That fits the epithelium. Okay, and I'll go back to, and then I can put this into the cross-section and fit it to the longitudinal part. And I'll make a few copies of this. Here we will need to adjust the width of the cells a little bit so it can fit with the longitudinal cross-section. Oops. Yeah, I'll speed up this part because this is just some minor manual adjustments. Final part. So we need to have a clean cut over here on the top, so it will look like a cross-section that's cutting through. So let's make that. I we'll first need to move this to the top, and then I will select this and group them. Then we will use something called the opacity mask to cover this part. So first, let's fill this square with a black color, and then select these two and go to appearance, opacity, and make mask. So now you see that you have a very sharp and clean cut. Okay, and now let's move this over here, put it to the back, and it needs to be a little bit bigger altogether so it can fit with the sides. Okay, good. I think there's one extra thing over there that we need to take off. Yeah, the reference. We can remove that. Okay, and now we will need to add a line between here. So that's the cross-section line. All right, and this part is missing, so let's just fill it in with the blue. And here it needs to be like that. Okay, and yeah, we'll continue to do some minor adjustments here so it will look more natural. Okay, yes, finally done. So this is our plant root longitudinal cross-section. This is a very long tutorial because the structure is very, very complex. So I hope you have followed me through, and if you have made it over here, give yourself a good thumbs up, because this is a very complicated structure that this is a big achievement that you're able to make it to the end. So I hope this can help you with your research, and subscribe to DrawBallMat for more of these tutorials, and I look forward to seeing you in the future videos.